Viewers, we will now be playing the Presidential Correspondents' Dinner featuring President Richard Nixon. Please turn on your television to NBC News to watch it live. Sit back and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, your master of the ceremonies for the night is Richard Pryor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to present the 1973 Correspondents' Dinner. For the past 4 years, Richard Nixon, our 37th President of the United States, has truly served our country. He has not only influenced our nation as a whole, but he has also motivated us to become a better person, and he has changed the planet drastically. Next up, we have Bob Woodward, a graduate from Yale University. He worked for the Washington Post. He, alongside Mr. Carl Bernstein, deserve a great deal of credit for uncovering the Watergate scandal.
Nixon, you want some water?
He also won the Pulitzer Prize and wrote a best-selling book called All the President's Men that was based on the scandal. Would everyone join me in giving Mr. Bob a warm welcome?
Thank you, Mr. Richard Pryor. It's great seeing you again. Hello, Mr. President. Aren't you looking dashing today with your rosy cheeks, snooping around Mrs. Nixon's makeup again? You seem to really like going to places you shouldn't be. It's funny seeing you so silent. Don't tell me someone paid you hush money or something. Oh wait, are you being wired right now? Ugh, I hate when people are spying on me. Don't you, Mr. President? Since you, Mr. President, was the first person to visit communist China, I felt it was only right to bring up a quote from a great Chinese teacher, Confucius. Silence is a true friend who never betrays. But I guess for you, Mr. President, your silent majority betrayed you for not speaking up. For some reason, all these people are hating on you for Vietnam, but in reality, most people actually support it. Am I right? No? No? Okay. And among those minority of people that are against the war, when they purely just want to state their opinion and protest, they agree with gunshots at the Kent State shooting. But I mean, at least we won. Wait, no we didn't. But like they say, you win some, you lose some. So congratulations, Mr. President, on being the first president in our nation's history to lose a war. Your legacy will live on forever. But if we're being honest here, Mr. President, which you probably don't know what being honest is, but if we were, you thought it was highly unlikely for you to win re-election without a little bit of dishonesty. I mean, where would you have been without your little creepers spying in on the Democratic office? Funniest part, you act like none of that ever happened, as if it wasn't bad enough. You then refused to hand over your tapes. But before you could even be impeached, you resigned and said, "You can't fire me, I quit!" I guess your White House plumbers didn't get paid enough hush money. Remember, Mr. President, respect is earned, honesty is appreciated, and trust is gained. And loyalty is returned, not bought. Thank you, everyone. You've been a great audience. Have a great night.
Wow, that was deep, sir. Well, that's what you would get from having an award-winning writer at the Presidential Correspondents' Dinner. You just have a way with words. Alright, so next up, at 5 foot and 9 inches, weighing at least over 200 pounds, Henry Alfred Kissinger. He served as the United States Secretary of State under the presidential administration of Richard Nixon. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here tonight. But hey, remember that strategic arms limitation treaty the president made? Without it, there would be a total annihilation of the world, and we'd all be in nuclear war right now. Ollie's audience member would totally be blown up right now. Bob, earlier you mentioned that most people hated the Vietnam War. Sure, that may be true, but have you forgotten the Paris Peace Accords? You must remember that the president withdrew America from that pointless war with the treaty. Even before this, he withdrew thousands of troops from Vietnam, which saved thousands of American lives. But I guess you already forgot, which is unsurprising since you turned down Harvard. How can any of us forget the president's accomplishments? One profound accomplishment is Environmental Protection Agency. He recognized that our planet really needs help. So this agency helps to save the environment from pollution, which is more than anyone can say about many of our past presidents. The president was also the only president that was man enough to face the communists in China.
That didn't say much.
During his whole presidency, Nixon was only trying to fix relations with the unruly Russians. By improving relations with the Chinese, he's putting pressure on the Russians. to actually listen to us for the first time since World War II. The president has also been a major proponent in keeping the never-ending Cold War at bay. He improved America's relationship with the Middle East, effectively booting out the Russians from where they don't belong. Plus, 4 years ago, his act of diplomacy with the USSR surprisingly managed to keep us from having a second Cuban Missile Crisis. Plus, the president helped to desegregate schools in the South. Remember how the Brown versus Board court ruling failed in the South? Nixon enforced this ruling, which finally helped to peacefully desegregate Southern schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kissinger. Next up, I'd like to call my homeboy, Richard Nixon. Ladies and gentlemen, Democrats and fine young and old Republicans, it is my great honor to be here today. There have been many ups and downs during my presidency, such as the Watergate scandal, which never happened, and for those who did think it happened, the water's under the bridge now. I'm kind of thirsty, one sec. Water. There is no reason to believe that I'm a bad president, right? Of course, yeah. It would be a shame if you thought I was a bad president, because right now you're getting recorded. Let us get down to business and facts, my great Americans. To start off, I did have some ups and downs during my presidency, such as the Watergate, which opened the way up for journalists and the judicial branch. For instance, if it wasn't for the Watergate, journalists such as Bob Woodward would not have a job, and he would be living on the streets. Because we all know that the Washington Post did not want to hire him, and he was his last resort. While the haters were playing with their pet rocks, I was out and about continuing Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society programs that helped millions of Americans. One of the programs that I provided additional aid to was the monetary contribution to colleges and universities. Most importantly, Title IX, which opened up sports for women in universities and colleges. Not to boast or anything, but I also dedicated $100 million to the war on cancer. I was able to open up national cancer centers and vaccines to provide treatment for the ill. From the good old state of California, in which I was born, we hate wars, and this impacted my decision about the Cold War. And the decision I went with was called Detente. I strategically negotiated with the Soviet Union with SALT, which stood for Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, and my discussion with Secretary General Brezhnev was successful in the efforts to temper the Cold War through diplomatic reasons. This one for you, commies. Let's be real. I've done much for this country. I created the Guam Doctrine. Wait, no, it's called the Nixon Doctrine because I'm superior to everyone.
Not everything's about you. My government would have been better.
Would you like to repeat that? I control the nuclear weapons, therefore everything is about me. Anyways, let's get back to topic. The Nixon Doctrine provided a nuclear shield to our allies. Overall, it was my pleasure to serve as your president for almost 2 terms. I hope I was able to make America a better place. God bless America, and God bless each and every one of you. Good night.